the Florida Writer Podcast, a discussion about writing and other things.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Florida Writer Podcast with your host, Alison Nissen. And today I am lucky enough to be with Emily Hill. Emily, could you give us a 60-second elevator pitch about who you are and what you write?
Hi, yeah. So I'm Emily. I am a wife, a mom to two little girls. I intertwine the worlds of social work and ministry in my daily life. Spent about a decade in professional ministry and then sort of headed into the social work world full steam ahead. And I work in a hospital most days. But in the time spent in the ministry world, I sort of hit a rock bottom of life and struggled through a lot. And on that journey, I found a light and sort of turned some deep, dark journal entries into a devotional study book and released that personal project into the world for public consumption as Everyday Epiphany.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Thanks. Yeah, definitely some darkness into light. And so grateful for that.
So when did you know that you were going to write a book?
I think I still haven't quite realized that I wrote a book, to be honest. I always say it was never on my vision board to write a book, although I've always loved writing. Over the years, I have taken advantage of some opportunities to write selections that have been included in compilation publishers. But as I was writing these journal entries, it just sort of came together in a way that I felt inclined to share. And so I had started sharing just in social media posts and things like that. And as I started to get a good response from people, and a response that surprised me, I started to put it all together into a book. So I think I'm still surprised sometimes when I hold it in my hands, but but it was just sort of something that organically grew, and I just put together one piece at a time.
What was the easiest part?
Oh, geez. Probably the easiest part was, I don't know. It all felt so hard in the moment. I would say,
and everybody thinks writing a book, oh, anybody can go write a book.
Yeah, I would say the easiest part was finally just putting it out there. I think there was so much that goes on to getting it pulled together and making it feel like a full, complete book. And I think just actually finally kind of going over the mountaintop and putting it out there was the easiest part.
And what path to publishing did you take?
I did self-publishing, actually, as a novice to the writing world, as someone who didn't exactly plan on entering into that space. I was a little bit overwhelmed when I started looking into publishing and agents and submitting, manuscripts and things like that. And so I had stumbled into self-publishing, and the publishing house that I used, they provided editorial services, and then they do marketing services as well. So it was sort of a guided self-publishing process, which was very, very helpful to make sure that the product that came out was professional and polished and much more put together than I could have done on my own.
Yeah, that guided self-publishing is the way to go, I think. Having the resources already vetted for you makes it easy.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Yeah. And the professionals who know what they're looking for and can sort of take what you're doing from your area of expertise and apply theirs and create sort of what I had in my mind but couldn't have totally put together on my own was great.
Yeah, self-publishing has taken a really interesting path to its popularity. So, 15 years ago, it was the it was the beginning of all evils. And now I think, people can self-publish and spread their wings, and their audience can grow way more than any traditional publisher ever thought possible 15 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I didn't know how popular it was, I guess, until I kind of got into it. And at first I thought almost like I was taking a backdoor and a workaround approach rather than going the traditional publishing route. But I do, like you said, I do think it's a way to kind of get your voice out there, especially a new voice, an unheard voice, and have an opportunity to have something to put into the world that could turn into more, or just sort of, be your opportunity to get your message out there.
And did you discover a routine in putting your words on paper?
Oh, I had to. I'm busy, with working full time and kids and um, a family and kind of everything that goes along with that. So I really have to treat it like I have a boss who expects certain hours from me. So, kind of as my own boss, every week I lay out what hours, like I carve out certain chunks of time that I'm going to sit and write, because otherwise I end up sort of jotting things down or scribbling things at 3 o'clock in the morning and, not really getting everything together that I want to. So I definitely have to be much more diligent and planned out than maybe what I'm naturally inclined to be all the time.
Every now and then I think, wouldn't it be nice just to say, you know what, today I'm going to take the day off and I'm going to go find some tropical island and not worry about anything.
Right? That would be really nice.
I'll hold that thought for about 6 seconds, and then reality
Right.
will come back to me and I'll be like, oh, darn it.
Yep. Yep.
Tell me about so you mentioned that you'd carve out different sections of time, which is awesome that you were able to do that. Were you able to just push through parts? I mean, do you have any moments where you had writer's block?
Oh, absolutely. And especially since the book sort of started as not necessarily a book, it started as journal entries and then turned into social media posts. And then the process of pulling it together into a book really left a lot of gaps. So I had to go through and really turn it into a full compilation, a full devotional study. And there were times where I would just sit there and sort of spin and spiral and kind of get lost in my head or get distracted and, kind of feel like, okay, this isn't going to work. I don't know what I'm doing. Like, whoever thought that I could do this? And I would have to just kind of like put it down, step away for a little bit. Because for me, writer's block was really self-defeating, and I would kind of get stuck in that sort of negative headspace where I just thought, well, of course you can't do this. And so I would really kind of have to step out of it, sort of step away from the book for a while, and kind of get back into a place where I could get some natural insight and inspiration, and then come back to it and sort of almost feel like I was starting over with the pieces.
Oh, that's great. Interesting and revolutionary in that, we don't know ourselves as well as we think we do.
Mm-hmm. If only we did, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Every day it's a new experience.
Right.
Who am I going to meet today?
Right. Or where did she come from? I
Right.
thought I
Yeah.
broke up with her a long time ago.
Yeah, really. I always called my negative self-talk Gertrude, so I could name
Okay.
her and tell her to go sit in a corner.
Yeah.
Gertie, sit in the corner,
Right.
please.
Right.
Quiet. No more talking. Too
Yeah.
loud. Yeah. Did you have any books or anything that you were able to glean information from while you were in this process of writing? Like, did you look at, there's like Stephen King's on writing, and there's, all the other books out there that help people pull their thoughts together into a book?
No, I did not. I did not use any resources like that. Now that you mention it, though, that might have been a really helpful route to go. Maybe I'll do that for the next one. But no, I mean, I did get inspiration from people who, I sort of aspire to resemble in the way that they write, in the way that they, do ministry, in the way that they kind of have a social media presence and things like that. So in that way, I, kind of looked at what they do, what they've done, sort of maybe at the start of their careers, and kind of tried to use that as a guide or as a sort of loose model of what to do, and then apply, who I am and what my, personal experiences and views are, and put that into it. But no, I didn't follow any professional advice or input. I was really winging it here.
Yeah, so that makes it it's the free form of it. It's so organic when you can do that.
Yes, it is. It is scary, but organic for sure.
Emily, tell me, you mentioned that you started just with journal posts and then you began to share these posts on social media. So were you able to grow a following while you were doing that? Or did these journal entries just stay with your private social posts?
So they mostly started with just my private social posts, but what I found was interesting was I would get like private messages from people that maybe I hadn't like heard from in over a decade, or were, on like Facebook especially. I feel like I've collected people that I've just like crossed paths with on a sidewalk once like 20 years ago, and now we're Facebook friends. So I would get messages from people that I didn't really know in my everyday life or hadn't interacted with for a long time, and they would respond to the post. And so for me, it wasn't quite the quantity of followers or engagement, but it was more the quality, or the different people that it kind of brought out of the woodwork, and the connections that were made that really caught my attention, and thought, okay, maybe there's something here that would be worth sort of expanding how I'm sharing it.
That's really interesting. And did they all remain private, or did you open it up to social, like
I
public?
did open it up more publicly, and especially now with the book being published, it has expanded a bit more on a social media platform, and kind of given an opportunity to expand and to reach more. And I've kind of moved beyond just like the people I know or have encountered in my everyday life.
Do you think putting it into a book has changed the way you do your social posts?
Yes, I do think it has. I think it's made everything feel a bit more professional. I think it's sort of pushed me to share in a way that's more professional too. That I have this book and this sort of tangible item that I can hold and share, has sort of then in my social media carried into that, and where I want to say and do and post things that reflect then what the book holds more deeply.
Does that make you feel more vulnerable or less vulnerable?
I think more vulnerable. It's been really intimidating to put my thoughts and views and kind of gather everything into this book, and then share it with the world. And then also kind of making social media posts, I do feel a lot more vulnerable. It makes you wonder, what are people going to think when they look deep into your soul as they read the book?
I think this is a big challenge for authors in general, is the idea of marketing. Authors tend to want to be behind the screen with the pencil and pen in hand, and not actually public facing. But today we have to market ourselves, and we have to put on that persona of public appearance so that we can reach the people that are going to be interested in reading our words.
And I think in this world of like content creators and everything, there's an expectation that like it's not just the book, but it's what you post on social media. It's how you post it. Are you doing just standalone posts? Are you doing reels? Are you on TikTok? Are you doing like, you almost have to become a content creator to really then market your book, which isn't my strong suit. But it does almost feel like they go hand in hand, especially when you're self-publishing and you're kind of, out there flying solo, hustling your book. And it can be a lot when it's, and then it can take away from the writing itself. So, you have to decide, do I spend time writing Instagram posts, or do I spend time working on my next book? And sometimes you don't have the time to do both. And so you sort of have to pick one or the other.
Do you put a lot of time in the Instagram posts?
I don't put a lot of time into it. Probably not as much as I should in this day and age, especially as a self-publisher. But I try, and I'll go through cycles, honestly, where I'll post a lot and then, I'll instead focus on writing for my next book. And then I just can't do both with my life at the moment, but I'd like to do more.
As a social worker that you would ever be a publicist?
No, I did not.
This writing journey we are on is very strange indeed.
It is. It stretches all sorts of muscles that I didn't know I have, and some that I have come to realize I don't have at all.
Emily Hill, how can people find out more about you and your book, and maybe if you have any more books in the works?
Yeah, I'd love if you followed me. My Instagram is Baby Mama Minister, and I have a website, Everyday Epiphany by Emily Hill. You can message me on there, grab the book on there, email, all the good things.
All the good things. Well, Emily, are you ready to switch to our rapid fire questions?
Okay. I'm nervous, but yes, I'm ready.
All right. So I'm thinking about dinner at the moment. And do you embrace complicated recipes, or do you love those 3-ingredient recipes?
Oh my gosh, I'm a 3-ingredient recipe girl all the way. HelloFresh and things like that, like those pre-made where you just cut stuff open and cook it. Those are like top notch for me.
Awesome. If you were going to take a back road to someplace interesting, what would be on the back road?
A waterfall. I grew up in the middle of nowhere, and I love those places where you can go and it feels like you're going nowhere, and then all of a sudden it opens up into a beautiful waterfall. That's the kind of place I've been craving lately.
Oh, well, I could go there instead of that deserted beach.
Okay.
All right. Final question. Do you have a mantra that you like to repeat to yourself?
Oh boy. Do I have a mantra that so my daughter and I'm not a runner by any means, but my daughter does a running club, and we have to do a 5K every year. And so I run with her as her running buddy. And the whole time we say, just do your best, because it's the best you can do. And that so I feel like there are times in life beyond the 5K where that comes into play, and I remind myself, just do your best, because it's honestly the best you can do.
Oh, I love that. That's such great advice. I lived in Pennsylvania, and we had lots of hills as well. and we always said, I love hills. I love hills. I love hills. That was our 5K mantra.
We'll have to do that one next year.
I think yours is much more graceful, though. Just do the best you can.
Yeah.
Emily, thank you so much for stopping by.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This has been great.
You have been listening to another edition of the Florida Writer Podcast with your host, Alison Nissen. Alison out. Woo! We're all done. Raised as the daughter of a pastor and earning a Master of Divinity, Emily naively thought she had it all figured out. Then life hit hard. After a miscarriage and marriage struggles rocked her world, she ended up in a really dark place and started asking some questions. It was during that time when private journal entries turned into a devotional study all about discovering the presence of God woven into everyday moments of life. Emily is a licensed social worker and hospice chaplain, graduating from Wesley Seminary with a Master's of Divinity. And in case you're wondering, her hobbies include drinking too much coffee, dabbling in guitar and piano, singing loudly, laughing even louder, writing, talking, cross-stitching, and watching reality TV. For more information about Emily, visit her at everydayepiphanybyemilyhill.com. For more information about the Florida Writers Association, visit us at floridawriters.org. Until next time.